matching platform. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about Butterfly. And it's a domain name service, a distributed tripping over my tongue, distributed domain name service that's been live now for 6 months or so, that Josh architected. And so it's unique in a few ways in how it creates trees of NFTs that act as the domain. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that first, Josh.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I was involved in both the Ubase design and Butterfly, which is why they work well together. We kind of different sides and different angles of some of the similar problems. So different pieces of the puzzle, I think. But yeah, Butterfly, there's other naming systems out there on blockchain, and there's one everybody knows, that the legacy DNS system. But as you mentioned, Butterfly has some unique things that kind of make it better suited for certain scenarios, like with Cortex. Some of the advantages is that you own, when you buy a domain on Butterfly, you own it. You own that name, and it's an NFT that you can keep forever. And then along with that, you get the NFT tree, which is, works again well with Cortex in the way domains are, have subdomains, and it can create a tree structure, and each of those subdomains are also NFTs, and so you can group those together. And
can you talk? So if you get, say, Robinson .nft, and so once you have Robinson.nft, you own everything that will become a subdomain underneath that, like Josh.Robinson. So how will that work exactly?
Yeah, so it starts at the TLD level, which is what the Bfly tokens and everything are all about. And then from there, you can buy a specific domain, like you said, like Robinson.nft, where NFT is the top level domain. And then I would own Robinson, but I'd also own all the subdomains underneath that that I create. So yeah, I could create, Josh.Robinson, could create one for my daughters, like Andrea and Leah .Robinson, and then those are their own NFTs that I can give to them or other people. And then when you're looking through the tree structure, you're able to group those together. So say I wanted to allow access to my house, right, and use the NFTs as a key for our lock. I could group that to say any Robinson owner of a Robinson NFT could have access. So that'd mean I would have access and my daughters would have access.
Cool. So there's a lot of, and we're working on some of them where there's going to be a lot of ways that you can kind of create spaces around NFTs in that manner, I think, right? I mean, and with Cortex as well, that we'll get into. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, using the top level domain is, obviously the initial way to scope that, and that's how Cortex is going to be using it as well. So, one of the things that Bproto is doing is working with companies like Cortex and Escrow to create those spaces around it. So Cortex has the .crtx top level domain, and the Cortex token is based on that and able to create domains underneath of it.
And we're going to launch on Polygon. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit about what that means and what the kind of cross-chain features will eventually have. Is that going to be limiting in any way? What can you do and not do in that context?
Yeah, so Polygon's a layer 2 solution, which means it works really well with Ethereum. It's not trying to compete or replace it like a lot of the other chains are, which they all have their space that they fit in, and the certain problems that they solve. But for Cortex, Polygon works really well because you can easily bridge tokens back and forth, and we're able to, with Butterfly, point the CRTX top level domain so that it is resolved using Polygon, and then all the changes and updates can be done on a much faster, cheaper network than kind of the core system which runs on Ethereum.
And people always ask about ENS, Ethereum Name Service, and how it's. Can you compare and contrast those a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, ENS is a good project. I think there's a lot of room in crypto for similar types of projects to all work together, and we do some things that make us fairly compatible with parts of ENS, and there might be some things we do with that later. But some of the main differences with Butterfly and ENS are one, that ownership of a domain for life, right? Once on Butterfly, once you create it, you own it, and it's just like any other NFT. And on ENS, you have to pay renewal fees, same as you do with the legacy DNS system. So you have to pay every year a yearly fee, which, depending on gas prices and stuff, the amount you need to pay can vary quite a bit. The other thing is that although ENS does have NFTs for ownership currently, it wasn't originally built around NFTs, where Butterfly has used NFTs from the very beginning and been a core part of its infrastructure and structure. So one part of that is ENS and some of the others like Unstoppable, which also have NFTs for domains, use the domain or the NFT only to represent ownership.
Okay.
So, and that's, I think, a really big difference. So if you go on OpenSea, you can look at a ENS or Unstoppable Domain NFT, and it's just the name. Like it has a picture, but it's just all the standard picture across the board. With Butterfly, you can actually set all of that metadata and use it as an NFT in a system like Cortex, or if you're making a game, you can use that also, which is why the NFT tree, where it can really come in handy. So instead of just owning subdomains, you can have a domain that groups your NFTs together and issue all of your CryptoKitties type, or something like that.
So if you're punks,
yeah.
Or if you're a game developer, all of the different avatars and all the different combinations of gear that they might have, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it can be scoped to your game underneath that domain, but because it's in the same NFT contract and same space, then it can interact with other ones. So if you have a CryptoKitties or Crypto Puppies, and those will be completely separate games, but if they'll actually can live inside of the same contract if it was built on Butterfly, and you can exchange and have them interact in other ways.
What kind of interactions?
Well, for one, they can all be stored together without adding different contracts, but you could have a crossover, right? Like DC and Marvel, they're completely separate universes, but every once in a while you get some characters in other universes. So you can do that type of thing very easily because it's built on the same contract. Even though they're name spaced, you could have. I don't know if you'd want to breed kitties and puppies.
Really. People are breeding a lot of them.
Those two games don't cross over very well, but maybe other ones.
I'm sure somebody's.
Yeah. So, for
developing that
example, in
somewhere.
a game, the skins, everyone knows Fortnite, I guess. The skins used in Fortnite or other games like CS:GO could be represented by those NFTs and then be traded.
Yep. Yeah. So you could have, a crossover between different games that allows you to use a dance from, Fortnite dance on a different character, and maybe you make your CryptoKitty dance like a Fortnite dance, right?
There you go.
Things like that.
All right. So